I'm Rose from BQLQ channel. We're doing a series of interviews with best blockchain projects in Silicon Valley. In today's episode, we are very lucky to have Matt from MakerDao team. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. We're gonna do this interview about the MakerDao project with you today. And can you first make a brief introduction for your project?
MakerDao has been around for about 3 years. It was started by Rune Christensen and Nikolai Oshagian, and we just launched DAI. We have almost 50 people as part of the organization. At Maker, we built the DAI stablecoin system. Yeah. And DAI is a stablecoin which is pegged to the US dollar. We also have some additional functionality that's available when interacting with our CDPs. So it's a way for users to take out loans against their collateral and also to take on decentralized margin long positions.
Now let's dig into your project in detail a little bit. First is, as far as I know, there are two different tokens in MakerDao, which is Maker and DAI. And can you talk about what roles they're playing?
Sure. So DAI is the stablecoin that's pegged to the US dollar, and the MKR token, the Maker token, is the utility token, the governance asset that's used to actually make decisions on the system, so to vote on the risk parameters, and it's something that you want to hold if you want to be an active member in the Maker community.
Yeah, so DAI is the stablecoin, and Maker is people can hold it and have the rights to vote or something like that.
Correct, yeah. It's also actually necessary to use the system. So every time collateralized debt position is closed, MKR is burned.
What is the mechanism to make DAI stable? What will you do if the price goes up or more or less than $1?
So at the moment, we have a number of different ways that we keep the price stable. So the first way that we keep the price stable is through our market making. So we're providing liquidity on either side of the market and ensuring that the users of our system have the best experience possible while we develop this market. The second way is essentially just through the threat of global settlement. So what I mean by that is if ever the price goes far away from US dollar, $1 US peg, we can do what's called globally settle the system, which means that DAI will be settled and each user gets back exactly $1 US worth of Ethereum at that moment. So that's what basically keeps DAI stable.
For this part, can you make an example?
Okay, so it works through economic incentives. So when somebody knows that there is the threat that the price is going to move back to $1, if it moves away from that, then it's psychologically makes sense for that person to ensure that they can take advantage of the arbitrage opportunities on either side of the market. So if it's if your barrier to entry is say 7 cents, and you know that there's a threat of global settlement if it ever gets too far away, you could provide say a selling pressure at $1.07 relative to DAI, right? Because you know again that it's going to globally settle. So it comes down to psychology and economic incentives to ensure that the price stays stable. There's no mechanism for modulating the supply of the coins outside of when users are creating their DAI, when they're destroying their DAI, when they're closing a CDP, and when MKR is burned. But we never will inflate more DAI or reduce however that would work. Reduce how much DAI is actually in the system in order to affect the price. We do not do that.
Yeah, you have the target price and the target rate to control the psychological rate?
Right, yeah. So the target rate feedback mechanism is actually, for this iteration of DAI, it's not implemented. Mm-hmm. But when it is implemented, which we plan to do as part of multi-collateral later this summer, it's going to, the incentives associated with multi-collateral are going to be inflation rate, you can think about it, that's associated with holding on to DAI. So in some cases you can actually get paid to hold on to DAI, and in some cases you will lose money holding on to DAI. So that's the incentives that we use to get people to create or destroy their DAI.
So when will this be, this year going to be achieved?
Yeah, well, I should say that multi-collateral is definitely going to be live before the end of Q2 or early Q3. The target rate feedback mechanism, it's not clear if that's going to be implemented from the start of multi-collateral or if it's just going to be used as a resiliency measure. So we'll have to see.
People send Ether to the collateral and generate DAI. What is like motivation for people to do this?
The reason why you want to send your collateral to a CDP can be numerous. So the most common are that you're going to want to take a leverage position in a decentralized, counterparty risk-free environment. Meaning you don't have to give up your funds to an exchange. You just hold your funds and you interact with the smart contract, and you can still increase your exposure to the swings in price. Usually you want them to go up, but it will also get magnified if it goes down, just via our system. So that's the main use case. The other use case is if you believe that this asset is going to go up in value over time, like gold or Ethereum, and you want to take out some cash against that asset while still holding on to that asset, you can do that via our CDPs. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you like list an example? If like the people, for example, I have like 1,000 Ether. How can I like using this to do the leverage, and how can I make profit, and the whole process? How am I cashing out?
The way that you can use our CDPs, the best way to use our CDPs is you take your Ethereum and you send it to our collateralized debt positions, our CDPs, right? And when you do that, then you have two options, right? You can either take out the DAI that you get, the stable coin, and then you can just use that however you want, you know. But you can also take the DAI, buy more ETH with it, and then deposit that ETH back into your CDP and increase your exposure to Ethereum now such that you get your desired exposure ratio.
We know the biggest threat to stablecoins are the so-called black swan event. So how would MakerDao handle these kind of thing if the market just crashes?
Yeah, sure. So I think first thing we have to do is define what a market crash looks like. So in the event that price falls more than say 70% across all exchanges all at once, then there could potentially be a situation where CDP holders are not made whole for when their CDPs are closed. And in that scenario, we have enough reserves to make the CDP holders whole in the existing
Sorry
area.
to interrupt. So the CDP stands for?
Collateralized deposition. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So that's part of our cascading resiliency functionality, such that the time is also a part of that. So if it's a flash crash and it goes to 0 across all exchanges immediately, all at once, and it goes back the next minute or the next few seconds, it's not going to register on our system. The CDPs are not going to get closed. It's only if it's a sustained crash where it happens across all systems for an extended period of time? Is it actually going to register, and are the CDPs actually going to get closed? So in that scenario, then it's up to us to make these users hold the CDP holders being the users.
So in that scenario, you're going to use the second layer, like the reserve, and then.
Correct. Yeah. And this is the, I should also clarify, this is the scenario that we were implementing for this existing iteration of Maker. So the next iteration with multi-collateral is going to have multiple collateral types, as the name implies, which means that the correlation associated with cryptocurrencies, and Ethereum in particular, is no longer going to be as relevant. So we're going to have things like gold, real estate, other sorts of like fiat, like synthetic versions of fiat are going to be available on the blockchain, we anticipate by that time, that we're all going to be using as collateral. And that in itself is going to provide so much of a diversification across these different collateral types that we're going to be able to safely increase the debt ceiling past where we have reserves.
So for the reserve, what types of assets do you have in reserve now?
We have US dollars, we have Ether, and we have MKR. And we have, in total, our reserves are running a bit more than 400 million right now. I'm speaking the royal hour here. The majority of that is with the MKR holders who are making a decision about which direction the MKR is going to be used for. So we have about 70 million currently in Ethereum and about 380 million in MKR and about 30 million in, a little more than 20 million actually in US dollars.
That's really promising. So this money will be in the reserve and to make sure the DAI will be, this system rewards stable, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, especially for right now,
Yeah.
So that again, the debt ceiling right now is only $50 million. We're quite sure that we can cover that in the event of a shortfall, right? In the next iteration, again, we believe it's going to be impossible for a scenario where a CDP holder could potentially get a shortfall that MKR holders can't make up themselves. So, because we're going to have such a diversified collateral portfolio. So in that scenario, the debt ceilings of these assets are going to be much higher than what we are going to be holding in reserves. The debt ceiling that we're associating just with gold, with DIGIX, is going to be $3 billion by itself.
Okay. So you guys just make the partnership with DIGIX.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. We think they've got a wonderful product, and we're very confident in it and are assigning a corresponding debt ceiling.
Talking about partnerships, do you mind to tell us more about like what other partnerships you guys have made? Yeah,
sure. So we're announcing shortly a partnership with L4. It's called the Stable Fund, and it's around $50 million is going to be set aside to help incubate projects to build on the DAI stablecoin system.
Very nice to talk to you today, and very lucky to have Matt here and to talk with us about your project, and I hope to have more good news in the coming this year.
I expect we will.
Thank you.